Secretly recorded from deep inside the bowels of a decommissioned missile silo, we bring you the man, one single man who wants to bring light to the darkness and dark to the lightness. Although he's not always right, he is always certain. So now, with security protocols in place, the protesters have been forced back behind the barricades and the blast doors are now sealed. Without further delay, let me introduce you to the host of Hutcast, Mr. Tim Hutner.
Thank you, Sergeant-at-Arms. You can now take your post. The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the individual and participants. These views and opinions expressed do not represent those of the host or the show. The opinions in this broadcast are not to replace your legal, medical, or spiritual professionals. Today on Hutcast, a tribute to last year's episodes. Things we've covered, things we've talked about, kind of things that we're going to talk about in the next season. A very thankful Hutcast is reaching out to you saying, stand by, let's have a conversation quickly about what we did and what we're going to talk about. Stand by, we'll be right back. The current healthcare system is not meeting the needs of real people. People are demanding better care, better options, and want results. So Graith Care has launched and is advocating for those in the U.S. and internationally, as people are realizing the controlled system has not been there for them. If you want your own independent advocate that is not controlled by big corporations, call or text and enroll today to get your advocate for your needs, serving all ages. For any healthcare need you might have, you matter. Here's how you get started. www.graithcare.com, GRAITHCARE.com. Call Graith Care Direct 1-469-864-7149. Call or text a question to Healthcare Sucks and get an advocate with Graith Care 1-469-864-7149. Mention Hutcast and you'll get a 10% discount on your advocacy bundle. And the staff at Graith Care will take care of you. Remember to mention Hutcast, get that extra 10% off your first bundle of time. And this is all brought to you from Graith Care. Welcome back to Hutcast. As I said in pre-roll, we're going to talk about things we did last year. Again, thanks to you and all the listeners. Let me start out by saying I appreciate all the listeners. You've sent messages and texts and emails and all this stuff, and from the countries. Some of those countries out there I'm trying to translate, as I said in the messages, but I cannot. The Googleizer doesn't transmit, I don't think, the way that you guys say it. So I'm trying to catch on. I respond when I can, and I appreciate you listening to the show, especially the guys in Ukraine. You know, all that stuff, you're getting your butt kicked over there with the whole war effort thing. And sorry you're going through that, but you understand I'm trying to get you what I can, and again, keep those messages coming. Africa guys, I'd laugh at you guys. The last time, tried to get through my VPN. No bueno on that, huh? Yeah, we got her locked down pretty good, so stop trying to hack. I haven't seen much attacks since the last show, so you're obviously listening, especially when I listed your transmitting town. Yeah, that kind of got you. So in this episode, first of the season, New Year, and Season 4, Episode 1. Kind of liking this. 4 years, a whole lot of stuff going on. We're going to talk about what we did last year. So as a year in review, we started out with Murderapolis. That's one of our shows that we did, Murderapolis and Cold, Cold, Cold. Yeah, it was cold that year. It was just miserable. I don't know about you, but we're in the miserable cold world. And in Minnesota, it happens every year. We don't like to admit it. A lot of people leave town. Good for them. And go to a place that's not here. One of my neighbors says to me, well, when it's hot, we go inside. When it's cold, we go inside. You know, yeah, I get it. We don't do nothing outside until it's decent enough to do stuff outside. I'm not a winter person. I don't have snowmobiles. And I don't like cold. And yet I'm still here. So that was our first episode of last year. Moves us into the Capitol Insurrections and Analog Hacks. That was in January 9th of 2022. I actually liked that episode. And if you paid attention to what's happening now in the news, listen to these guys who are saying, what are they saying? They're saying that the unit was opened up. I mean, we talked about this back then, a year ago. The police, the Capitol Police says, hey, you know, come on in. We're seeing video now of the Capitol Police waving these people in, sending them through. They ain't stopping them. They were behind the gate when they had them. Where was this video last year? And the Dems had to play that card over and over again. And Nancy Pelosi sitting on her phone talking to somebody like she's ordering a pizza while they're being infiltrated, which I don't believe. They're not infiltrated, by these people with armed cell phones. Yes, they were armed and loaded. There's no guns there. They were armed cell phones. That is not an insurrection, people. It is. It isn't. I mean, it's not. An insurrection is not a cell phone carrying card member of the Second Amendment cell phone group. It is. They let them in, and it's just like everybody else. It's their property too, whether you're left or right. And if someone lets you in, and you're going to go in, you're going to go in. Yeah, that was kind of a thing, wasn't it? Armed cell phones. And now we're starting to hear more of that truth. Follow that up by the COVID-19 and me, my bout with it, which was January 23rd, 2022. I had another bout with COVID. This is my third bout. I'm not a shot guy. My doctors, here's a weird one. This has just happened like last week. I go in, I say, medical update, you know, I'm just getting my checkup. Doctor says, you put on your thing, your intake, that you got a sore throat. I says, yeah, I want to check for strep. And he goes, well, you got COVID. Well, hey, Nostradamus, how'd you figure that one out? Well, because, of course, I shouldn't have used the satirical smart-ass comment in front of that, because, you know, he's my doctor, and he was a new doctor to me, but... And he said, well, that's the symptom. I said, check my temp. Nope, you had COVID. I didn't have a symptom. The only symptom I had was a sore throat. So they're dressed up like level 5 hazmat suits. I don't know what they want. It says, well, let's run a test on for COVID-19. I said, you don't get to test me on COVID-19. I am not letting that in the state database. It is not going to happen. You will not have access to my COVID-19 tests. Well, then we're going to stay in these level hazmat suits and we're going to reschedule this appointment. Fine. See you later. So they're all, you know, kind of pissy about that. And I said, back to my original statement. I tell you I got a sore throat. I want to be checked for strep. And you click and load your shotgun and pull the trigger on COVID. Because that's the symptom. I can taste, I can smell, I can, just like everything else I did last time. I could do everything. Didn't like the fact that they could just throw one out there. Then I thought, okay, maybe they're right. I go home. I test. Yeah, I got COVID. So they were right. I was wrong. Didn't matter. Still pissed me off. Still didn't have a fever through the whole thing. Could taste. Got a little bit of snuffy nose after that. But what did we do before we had COVID? What did you do when you had a cold before COVID and a sore throat? Did we have COVID back then? We just didn't know it? I don't know. Do we not get colds anymore? Do we not get the flu? What happened before 2020? I don't know. Everybody's not asking that question. And it's just kind of, it's the big white elephant in the room saying, hey, what'd you do then? Probably had it then. If you had a test back then and it was on everybody's radar then, you probably still had it. I don't know. I didn't like that one. COVID-19 in my bid. And that was January 23rd, 2022. So, yeah, about almost a year ago. All right, what else we got? All right, February 6th, 2022, we did a GoFundMe weaponized. Oh, yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. Update on my COVID-19 symptoms, aftermath, ivermectin treatments. We covered that already. But when they weaponized GoFundMe, that was a thing for everybody. That should have been a wake-up call. Why are you doing this? If you don't like the agenda that GoFundMe does, and there should be no political arena for GoFundMe. If you put up there and you are an NPO like these guys are supposed to be, or if they are an NPO, why can you decide what's going on in this group? The Kim Potter thing was removed from GoFundMe. What's the kid in Wisconsin? The one that shot that pedophile and the thief and the three of them, the Kyle Rittenhouse. So when they took down poor Kyle's Rittenhouse, because he was out there with an AR and a platform, and he actually effectively used it against a pedophile, against a doper, against these are paid criminals, and the world helped the criminals. Okay, GoFundMe weaponized. That's what we get in this kind of community, in this kind of world. All right, what do we got? Let's skip ahead a couple of deals here. Jai Hansen on the February 20th. CDC rollback. Oh, that was a good one. That was a good episode, because that in itself wasn't even in play yet until they did it this year. I mean, this is only in February last year. Now they're starting to roll this back because it wasn't accurate then. Guys, I don't know. If that ain't a moment of pause for everybody, I don't know what ever will be. We're going to kill everybody with COVID. The world is falling. Fauci's doing this crap. And now they're going to roll it back. Well, maybe you guys were kind of right. I don't know. If anything, this last year has taught us a whole lot of, you've got to be kidding me. And it never stops. The hits keep coming. When do we say is enough? We couldn't vote this shit out. So how do we say enough's enough? So when there actually is a real insurrection, not the kind with cell phones, but the kind with weapons, there's going to be there'll be no mistaking it, will there? Not that I'm hoping for that day. I'm just saying that eventually enough is going to be enough, and enough of you people are going to say, that's enough of this. All right, moving forward. Did a section on the Krav Maga instructor Jeff Garden was in, and that was a very interesting show. He said after the show he got a lot of support from you guys. Loved it. First time in the studio. I had a great time with him. Very interesting conversation. Very interesting materials. And not armed with a cell phone or a weapon, armed with yourself and your body, your face, your everything was kind of like is a weapon. So outstanding show. All right. Then we started getting into the political season. A former senator, Paul Gazelka, the show was called God, Guts, and Old Glory. Governor election candidate, Minnesota. Paul Gazelka was in the studio, gave us a heck of a lowdown on stuff. What a great guy. Great show. I still talk to the dude. He's just awesome. I hope he comes back on, because he has since pulled out of the race. I think he's no longer in the Senate, but I believe he is still very active. I think he needs to kind of take a mental break. I get it. Paul, if anybody deserves one, it's you. All right, moving forward. Let's see here. Tough Sounds of Common Sense, Dr. Scott Jensen. Okay, this was a governor candidate. He made it all the way to the top against Waltz. March 20, 2022, he came in his first episode. I'm beside myself, because this guy is just a rock. Common sense. He made perfect sense on everything he said. Some of his message got screwed up out there, because they say he was against abortion, to tell everybody that that they can't pick and choose with their life, their body. I mean, it just, they can't do it. And that was exactly the opposite of what he's saying. His whole message on that show, that episode, was, we keep government out of medical business. I am 100% with that. I do not need the government in my medical business. As for him, he was like, if I get in, first thing we're going to do is stay out of it, because he understands that being a medical doctor, and a great one from what I hear. A lot of people have him, love him. wish I could get on his list. He would be my doctor. But anyway, did a great job on that show. Made the points. Made the stuff common sense, and he did not win, by the way. He if you guys listen out of the country here or out of the state, he did a heck of a show. But until we figure out a way to defeat District 5, Senate District 5, Minneapolis, and Ilhan Omar's corrupt ballot harvesting section, we are not going to win anything. That is our largest per capita density of Minnesota. And they vote D. Well, they vote whatever they vote, but that's can't beat them. Can't beat them. And when you import those people into your life or into your city and you put them in one spot, you're going to have a checkmate chess move, which means put them in and you're there for life. Once you get that setup going, Fifth and Cedar area, the towers, all that stuff, high density. Do the math. I think God himself couldn't make that one move. I don't know. All right, moving on. Did an episode on elk meat, the other red meat, March 27, 2022. Good episode. There's some things I didn't know about chronic wasting disease, CDW, I think they called it, which is deer population, antlers, anything hooved. A very interesting show. A guy who owns a meat company for elk had a great show. Told us what's going on with the world, with the industry. And in his circles, that show did really well. So it was a great thing for him and his business. All right, next one, dedicated head. Okay, Michelle Benson. That was our next show, April 3rd, 2022. Michelle, if you're listening, great show. You were a rock star. You did it. Running for governor candidate. She eventually pulled out of the race, which is just a bummer because, it was her and Jensen were on my ticket. And they beat her down. It was a money thing. They couldn't beat him with the funds that they had. And it's hard to beat the organized D when they're spending dollars. What was it? Jensen was 38 some million and Waltz was 340 some million. And how do you beat that? They can spread a lot of disinformation with that kind of numbers. So Michelle, great show. We loved it. I loved it. Got to meet a great new person. Hopefully a great friend for a long time. And I appreciate that show. All right. Where are we at with this one here? Nutramigen. Okay. So on May 1st, Nutramigen. People weren't paying attention to what's going on. The shortages, the things that were happening at the grocery store shelf level. We have a new baby in our family, and we were like, something's really weird. We were chasing all over the country, at least the cities, trying to get baby food for this little baby. And it wasn't just us, it was everyone else, because Nutramigen was on those lists that so-called had a fire, had to shut down a facility. I don't even know what you do. I don't even know. There's still no logical reason why all of a sudden we're good and growing and making stuff happen and to go from 100 to 0. How do you go from 100 to 0 with baby food? I can't begin to tell you that. I have no idea, but they did. So far, it's been pretty good. When we went out and hunted Nutramigen, the wife did, she was noticing a lot of off-shelf old product. I mean, years exposed old. And as soon as that got back to Nutramigen, these people were recalling that material so that they could get some fresh material on the shelf. It's expired. They were selling it. But, you got some. I don't know. I don't know how that ever ended up, but it exposed a lot of stuff. And that was in May 1st, 2022. American Flag was on May 8th. American Flag and the American Way. That was a pretty good show. Martha Cothran did that. And what a super trooper. She's down in Mississippi, I think it was. Yeah, Mississippi. She was a school teacher. And that was the one episode where if you earned your desk, a service member would bring it to you. But all the kids in the beginning of the class had to sit on the floor, and it was a life lesson. And man, that made the news. So I got a hold of her on the old Hate Book, and she did a great episode. So that was a really good one to listen to. May 8th, 2022, The American Flag and the American Way. And let's go to the next one here. Oh, hold on here. We are 18 minutes into this first section. I'm going to do a commercial pause. I'll come back with direct, no nonsense, Dr. Neil Shaw, another governor candidate of Minnesota, and we'll pick up from there. So stand by for podcast. We'll be right back.
In today's busy world, staying healthy and alert have become essential for those of us who want to get the most out of ourselves. So before you reach for that energy drink, ask yourself, are you really giving your body the best? If you want the energy without the jitters that commonly come from today's most popular energy drinks, then reach for something better. Reach for Super Fuel. Super Fuel is made by Casmo Incorporated. Super Fuel is a healthy boost. Super Fuel is made with vitamins B6, B12, and taurine, that is a amino acid that aids in weight loss and protects heart tissue. Beetroot powder and other healthy ingredients that will give you a quick, healthy boost. Make Super Fuel a great tasting, low-calorie addition to your daily regimen. Super Fuel by Casmo Incorporated. It can be ordered by visiting our website at www.superfuel.me or calling 833-383-5912. That's right, Super Fuel by Casmo Incorporated at www.superfuel.me or calling 833-383-5912. Super Fuel.
Welcome back, podcast. As I mentioned in the last segment, 18 minutes into it, I had to take a commercial break. I was rambling too much, but this is what this is all about, is giving you my opinion. We were going to leave off with Dr. Neil Shaw. A lot of guys have been in my studio. A lot of people, a lot of high-profile people have been here. And I absolutely love the fact that this guy, another doctor, was running for governor. Kind of an underdog, but man, what a great, great promise that we had there. He was sincere. He came through on the mic just awesome. I mean, how much do you say other than wow, what a great interview. And I was hoping he'd do better, but he didn't get no traction. So that was Dr. Neil Shaw, and that was May 15th, 2022. Moving up to the next segment, the hammered dulcimer. If you guys remember, I'm kind of a musician at heart, studio for sure. And I've never heard of a hammered dulcimer. And boy, did this guy, wow. Did he bring me up to speed on all that. And this guy named Ted Yoder is a musician to play the hammered dulcimer. And if you remembered in that segment, the dulcimer is almost like a harp laid on its side over a guitar with a whole crap ton of strings. And you play it by striking the strings. And it gives you a sound that is incredible. And he just released a new album here like about a month ago. I have not listened to it yet, but I'm excited to do so. Hammered dulcimer. If you get a chance, you're musicians and you enjoy the harmonics of just being at one with yourself, then May 21st, 2022, the hammered dulcimer is your episode. Okay, let's see here. That was on May 21. All right, May 29, a little somber turn here. Scott Quiner, Quiner, his wife Annie was on the show. Now, if you remember back a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when I did my medical mayhem for Mercy Medical Center, Coon Rapids, her husband was there, Scott. And that episode was a big-time heart-tugging string thing. She filled us in on a lot of information. Got a lot of stuff going on at that one. I'm still friends with her. I still talk to her on a regular basis, which is a win for me because now I can stay active in what's going on. She, since then, has jumped on board with a company that does, what do you call it? Like a paid advocacy, a medical advocacy. And she's on their board of directors, and she's helped steer this because that's what they hired when they had to get Scott out of there and flew him to Texas to try and save his life. Wow. Annie has been a trooper for medical freedom. She's been an absolute rock star in the world of, okay, say it the way it is. Don't stick your jab in me. Right to Try Act. She's going there. She's a big supporter of the William Shapestead advocacy bill for right to try, which in Minnesota we already have the right to try. But someone's failing to recognize that we should be employing that. So that's kind of a thing too. Again, that was May 29, 2022. Scott, Annie, Quiner Memories of Sorrow. Very sad case. But what a tremendously strong woman. Strong woman. I just, my hat's off to her, and I hope all the best, and whatever I can do to help her, I will on this show. All right, jumping next. Okay, so here's one. A little macabre, but still pretty cool. Mary 153, Mother of Angels. Here's a gal who did a book. She made a book about passing and the signs that we don't see. The stuff that we should be seeing that we don't. But because she was in that situation, her professional career was last rites, last people, the last minutes on earth. And her name is, what was her name? Bonnie B. Bultman. Might want to pay attention to that show sometime, especially if you've lost someone, or if maybe you're going to lose someone. Well, we're all going to lose someone, but I mean, how do I put it logically here? Who have a little bit of foresight and knowledge of things like that. I mean, it's hard to describe. Again, it's more surreal and supernatural at some points, but that was the Mary 153 Mother of Angels, and that was her book. So you might want to plug into that. I hope that works good for her, because she did a great episode. All right, so moving on. Father's Day, we talked about Father's Day, June 19th. That was a good show. We had a couple of things that we went out to the street and we interviewed some people out in the world, and we says, hey, what's it like for you being a father? We interviewed short-termers, we interviewed long-termers, we interviewed people that were 50 years a parent and 50 days a parent, and that was kind of a fun show. Okay, next one is Dr. Scott Jensen for the second time, June 26th. Now, if I remember right, he was doing a show up here north of the cities, and I get on the horn and I throw him a text that says, Doc, where are you at today? And he says, hey, Hut, I'm coming up your way. Let's do a show. And we did a second show. Now, mind you, this guy's been on all over the TV. He's been on 60 Minutes. He's been everywhere. I mean, yet he comes down to little old Hutcast in a missile silo in an undisclosed location, and he says, let's talk about stuff. And I kind of hit him with at that time the ruling was, what was that? Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade was a big thing in the news. And I said, Doc, I hate to hit you right out of the chute like this, but here we are. And in my book, he nailed it. He should have been the governor from that answer alone. Great guy. Super good guy. Again, second time on Hutcast. Calls me Hut. I feel honored. And he's a good guy. So that was a fun show. All right, flipping over to July 10th. Our next episode, Esme Murphy, interview with Mary Jacob and Dr. Cedric Alexander. If you listen to that episode, this is the guy they hired to replace the mayor's responsibility. Now, this is my opinion. To replace the mayor's responsibility, to replace Era Undo's responsibility, to replace the city council's responsibility. So the fire department, anybody in the city of Minneapolis, they hired this guy at $310,000 a year-ish to come in here, and he's going to organize this. Because they couldn't do their jobs, we had to pay another $310,000 for this monkey. What the hell? He comes in and starts doing this for $310,000. And now, here's the chess move in this. If they have another riot and thing turns to crap, they're just going to look to this guy and say, hey, Doc, Dr. Cedric Alexander, you didn't do your job. We're going to fire you. And now they have a scapegoat. But I don't think this guy's catching on to this. I literally think that he thought this was a privilege to do this. And I don't know. I think he's kind of in trouble myself because he just don't, I don't know if he's not smart enough to see that or what. You have department heads for this, right? You have a police chief for this. You have a mayor for this. You have a fire department police chief. And you need to hire somebody to watch the police chiefs? So you need a chief for the chiefs? Yeah. Stay tuned for that one. The end of that one's not over because that's only in July. They hired this guy. Well, at the time, it was just like, well, kind of maybe sort of. I kind of watched Esme Murphy, and she had that look on her face like, okay, whatever. I think she swings on the right, and I'm okay with that. But Esme, you've had some pretty weird interviews. Moving up. Here's a good show. July 24th, 2022. Dr. Brian Ardis, A-R-D-I-S-D-C. He is a chiropractor that had a ton of good intel. Now, if you're stuck in an HMO, if you're stuck in whatever these medical programs are and don't know how to get around or navigate it, or he gets you a whole different perspective on what's going on in the world with this medical stuff. For instance, if you go to a doctor and you need an x-ray, I'm just using this as a facetious type of way. X-ray through the insurance company is probably $12,000. I don't know, being stupid. But if you go in there and say, I don't have insurance, even though you have insurance, but you don't have insurance, and you say you don't have insurance, and this x-ray costs you about $50. So if you manage your deductibles and you realize that, hey, I can burn $50 or I can pay the deductible and go all the way up to, burn through the deductible and make up to $1,000 x-ray. He's the one that exposed that, and he says, pay attention, people. This is real. Don't spin sideways on it. This is your money. Stop wasting it. Yeah, what a great show. And that was on July 24th of 22. Next one up was Priscilla Roman's Graith Care. Now they happen to be a sponsor of ours now after this show. And this is a paid advocacy that helped Annie Quiner and a number of people that want to make sure that their health care is to the best they can make it. Now, Healthcare Sucks episode was one of my best international plays. That being that it doesn't matter where you are. If you have no one to stick up for you, no one to be in your side, your corner, you need somebody. This is what they do. Tune into that one, especially after all the hokey mokey going out in the world with this healthcare crap. Again, Healthcare Sucks, Priscilla Romans, July 31st, 2022, and she's been on ever since. She's been on like last year, at the end of last year too, and gave us an update. So we'll take a next shot here. Let's see here. We took a break in August, fired back up in October 9th. And we had ourselves an ex-police officer. He was an FBI, he was in the sting of an FBI raid, and I can't even tell you, that show was just like, wow. Talk about step on our civil liberties. This guy wasn't stepped on, he was trampled about civil liberties. He was trampled with his civil liberties. I don't know about you, but I hold my civil liberties pretty up there. Good show. Good time. Tune in. That's one of those, you're driving up to the cabin and you just want to get mad by the time you get there. That's that kind of show. October. Okay, let's see. We got a couple more in October, which were local guys. I won't run you through that one because it was elections here. Okay, so now here's one. What the heck is wrong with America? That was a pretty good one. That was actually really decent. Digging into the energy policy, the lawlessness. Who's our favorite? Of course, we had Dr. Jensen on the show. Kind of liked the guy, and he's that was that show. The heck's wrong with America? It was just kind of another get you mad on the way to the cabin and burn some time, and because you can't get signal, but you can get a download on every manufacturer's website, which is iCast, UCast, WeCast. If it's got a podcast, we're on it. And that was in October 23, 2022. All right, what's our next one here? Africa, two parties. Okay, all right. So November 13th. November 13th was after the election. And it was first time I was trying to get the guys in Africa to stop trying to get through my VPN, and that was kind of a show. But the two party, our friends of time, the show kind of focused on no matter what party you're involved in, common sense has no party. I described what it was like to be at a Democratic reunion. I described what it was like a Republican type of deal. And of course, playing the middle of the boat, trying to play the middle of the boat. I mean, there's some bias, but I tried to play pretty neutral. And both parties were awesome. That was a fun night. I enjoyed myself. It was like, if you get a chance to do that, people, you need to do that. If you're a Dem and you want to go to a Republican Party, go. If you're a Reb and you want to go to a D Party, go, because until you see the opposite side doing the same things, you don't get a good meniscus on this. You don't see that parallax between two parties, and they're saying the same thing, but it's different. They do it their way, we do it our way. End result is pretty close to the same until they start going way left or way right. Yeah, that was a pretty good one. November 13th, 2022. Yeah, I've appreciated that one. And of course, the second half of that segment was our friends of time, losing people to whatever, losing people to COVID, losing people to medical malpractices, losing people to, you name it, we're losing people all the time. And it was just one of those things where sometimes you just got to take the time and go talk to them and hang out and be with those people. Be with those people that mean something. Okay, next show was November 27th. Now, on the 27th, of course, for you tech guys, I'm kind of a tech guy, you had to understand the TPM Windows 11 thing, and unless you're a tech guy, I'm not going to bore you with it, but that was kind of a cool thing, and there was things that we didn't know that we learned, we put into play. So the Trusted Platform module is really a nice episode for guys who just didn't understand what it was. I mean, I learned so much from that show. Priscilla Romans came back on Gareth Care as a guest speaker to update us on, well, her whole total thing. I mean, it's just she said her business is starting to go through the roof. She's getting stuff from all over the world because of her original episode of Healthcare Sucks. Since then, she has been able to, hire more people, start the organizational. What a great gal. So that's a good one to listen to. Or both of those. And then again, that was November 27th, 2022. Priscilla Romans for the second time. Okay, now we're into December. Accountability. December 11th, 2022 is accountability, and it was about common sense. Again, common sense. This segment reaches out to a justice-seeking, common sense American. Now, this gal that I interviewed, candidate for Attorney General of Wisconsin. She worked at the Amos Center for Justice and Liberty, is also a resource for plenty of people looking for the truth in the world suddenly. It was a show about how she's seen things, and you know, she was a pretty good interview. Retired attorney, or actually she was still practicing, but man, she was on fire. Wow. And when she started spinning up there, she had some pretty good information. She never spoke out of turn with a guess or a maybe. She actually had to have the data. And I've caught her a couple times in that where she's like, well, maybe we should figure out what I have to say there and get back to you. Well, that in itself tells me that she wants the truth, and I like that. And when you want to know the truth, someone wants to pause for a minute and say, let me get the real facts. Outstanding show. That was a really good one. Really, really good show, I'd say here. Moving on. Okay, after the accountability on December 11th, we had one last show. This show I'm going to take a little bit of time and explain to you. I know we're 19 minutes in this. We should be pulling the plug pretty soon. But I have to tell you this. It's a book called Their Line by Liz Collin, a former anchor of WCCO. Former anchor. I want that to be officially known. And Liz came into the studio on her book signing tour to stop in and say, Hut, let's have a conversation. Actually, a friend of a friend lined us up, and what an excellent interview. It's kind of about the George Floyd, kind of about the burning down Minneapolis, kind of about the accountability of who did what, when, and where, when the animals destroyed our city. It's ours. It's all our city. They destroyed their own city. Liz had a pretty unique perspective. Here's why. Liz's husband was a police union representative. When George Floyd had passed by the hands of Derek Chauvin, he was the guy that was on the phone with every one of those guys at the time. She's married to him, Bob Kroll. What an interesting situation. Bob was in the studio too that night, and Liz was, of course, they were promoting the book, and the book is called Their Line. Excellent book. I'm halfway through it right now. And the MPD union, their representation, what did they do for this? How did they do it? And what you didn't know, the big media news told you. Now, everybody doesn't have a trust in any media. I don't. I don't trust myself sometimes, but, you got to say what you know, and hopefully it comes through with some common sense. However, the news medias did not. They played an agenda. They played an agenda that if it isn't a minority, it doesn't lead. If it isn't a burning it down, it doesn't lead. They had all these caveats before they could make the lead news. Because of her relationship with her husband, who's an MPD officer, they put her in bypass mode. They shut her down. You're going to do whatever you do, some menial tasks at WCCO, from what I read out of the book. And she told me, you can't write this stuff, people. This is real life. This is happening. It happened to these two people. They're where they lived. The guy who was running for House of Representatives, a black dude, is on their front door, hanging up piñatas of these two, stabbing them, punching them, beating them up. What is going on? And this dude serving you. He serves you in Circle Pines, I think it is. He serves you, and this is what he's doing because of George Floyd. You need to listen to the book or read it or get through the book to understand what the rest of us have been thinking this whole time. It's that incredible. Now, you're not hearing this secondhand, third hand, fourth hand. You're hearing this from the dudes who were on site, who were in position, who were on his neck. One of my biggest things of the book was the knee hold that Chauvin put on Floyd, the one where it's on his neck. Now, first of all, Floyd was in the car. He was already tagged and bagged and stuffed and cuffed, right? But he couldn't breathe. He couldn't breathe in the car. Now, mind you, it's a 95, 98 degree day. It's hotter than snot. Minneapolis, outside of Cup Foods and 24th and Lake Street. It sucked. If I were you, I'd want to be on the inside of a car. It was hotter than snot. He couldn't breathe. He asked to be removed from the car. They take him out of the car. He wrestles them. They have to take him to the ground. They have to re-subdue him. And then they have to use reasonable force. Now, the knee on the back of the neck, that is reasonable force, according to some training manuals that have been stripped from the Minneapolis PD website that was in there. Oh yeah, this is, you guys got to read the book. or listen to the show. Pay attention, people. It is way beyond what we're thinking. And if you pay attention to the past, you won't be subjected to the future. You won't. It's just one of those things where, and it's going to happen again. It's been happening. It's just a cyclic thing. Read the book. Listen to the last episode. Call her up. Her number's in there. She's left a number on the phone. You can just, wow. For future use, I do want Mr. Kroll's on my show. I want him in here to talk to him. And if he will, he's gonna curl your hair by some of the stuff he's saying. And we've had police officers here in the past, but not with this kind of knowledge of everybody's things. So, Bob, if you're listening, I want you on. Liz, I hope the book is selling wonderfully. You were a rock star. She came in, she knocked it out. All right, let's see. We are, 25. I've been jacking all night here. That was the last show, December 26th, 2022. It was a wonderful show. It wrapped up our season. It was just after Christmas. She came in here, and that's our year in review. I hope all you people that are listening throughout the world, I appreciate this. I do get your emails. I do get your messages. My numbers are showing great numbers thanks to you. As far as I know, we're translated in 5 languages now, and I don't know how that works, but they're being translated. I don't know if it's a YouTube thing or how it gets translated, but you can see it, and I appreciate you guys everywhere. I just wanted you to know this for the first episode of season 4. I wanted to come out of the chute and thank everybody personally. Have just that little year in review thing. That's all I got to say. I mean, it's been one heck of a year. If 22 curled your hair, wait till 23. I can't wait to see what's coming down the pipe now. We're already starting out with some weird stuff. Apparently, we've got all times of top secret confidential stuff that Biden's been put in someplace. I've seen some pictures online where it's in his car, it's in his garage. I don't know. They wanted to beat up Trump for that. And here we are playing the same game. But magically delicious, it's going to get swept under the rug. That's my feeling. Everything happens on that side. It's like, oh, that's what we want to do. No, bullshit. We are the government. They work for us. Don't ever forget that. Hotcast. End of the season review. Thanks, everybody. See you next time, and have a fantastic rest of your day.
And that's a wrap for Hutcast. Hutcast is, again, a pragmatic approach to seeing things how some people see them. If you like our show, give us a thumbs up on the Facebook site. Again, for Hutcast, thank you again. Have a wonderful evening.